Hey there everyone, it's GG Sober Sun. October 25th, AA Thought for the Day. Well, just lost my place. I'm all gefuffled. Alright, here we go. Here we go. Fifth, I have learned to live one day at a time. I have finally realized the great fact that all I have is now. This sweeps away all vain regret, and it makes my thoughts of the future free of fear. Now is mine. I can do what I want with it. I own it, for better or worse. What I do now in this present moment is what makes up my life. My whole life is only a succession of nows. I will take this moment, which has been given to me by the grace of God, and I will do something with it. What I do with each now will make me or break me. Am I living in the now? Yeah, I love that old threadbare trope. Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. What we have is right now. That's why it's called the present. It's a gift, that's why we call it the present. And it's probably, I would say, the most spiritual place we can be is in the moment. Allowing time to unfold in front of us. And when I just be and get into my senses, sight, smell, touch, feeling the breeze blow, watching the breeze blow the seagrass and the waves and the palms back and forth, palmettos, feeling the warmth of the sand on my feet, feeling the sun on my skin, that, man, just the now, baby. That's what it's all about. And then I can be more receptive to God's little nudges, I think. And it really is a spiritual experience. And I can have that at any time, regardless of where I am. I can be in the middle of a, New York City subway and just look at what's around me and feel and smell, and it might not always be pleasant, but I can be aware. And this is super important for me, especially being a survivor of childhood trauma. And I was just watching a video on limerence and how I can slip into these fantasies about people, or I put people on pedestals, and I'm not talking about sexual fantasies necessarily, right? I've been, for a good long while, been able to sidestep that stuff. I'm really grateful for that, for a good longer than I ever have in my entire life. And of course, I'm 55, but the notion of becoming some dirty old man just really bothered me. And by the grace of God, I've been able to, like I said, sidestep that. Just even allowing sexual fantasies to occupy my thoughts, but it doesn't mean I don't shift into dissociation. I dissociate from my present, and then I ruminate on a fantasy about, say, my ex-girlfriend and I getting back together again and living happily ever after. You know, that, oh, all is forgiven, all is forgotten, let's start anew with all the good parts, right? And, you know, the reality is, you know, we're both decent people in recovery, and that's great. But it doesn't mean that, you know, we're gonna magically, all the things that drove us apart are gonna magically get fixed. But my point is, that's been one of my main struggles over this past year, over 2023, I think is, we broke up in the beginning of December of last year. So over this year, my main struggle is staying present wherever I am, especially if I'm alone. So how do I do that? You know, the guidance that I've been given in 12-step recovery is, some of the details is, you know, get something that smells nice, like a essential oil. I like vetiver, so I'll get some vetiver and sniff on some vetiver. You know what I mean? Just something that's different that I can smell. You know, and of course, being in this area, I love the smell of the sea air. It really, you can't always smell it. Actually, this area is kind of weird that way. I've lived on the East Coast, a few different places in my Air Force career, and you know, the swampy, nasty low tide is kind of dead fish smell kind of thing. But this area, you really don't get that very much. And I'm grateful for that, but I love the smell of sort of the salty air and this sweet seagrass kind of thing. But at any rate, you know, if I'm focusing on that, that really helps me be in the moment, you know. And I do walk on the beach a lot. I do feel the sand in my feet and the chirp that it makes when I scuff my feet kind of thing in this quartzite white beautiful sand, you know. And I love the different texture of the clouds on the horizon or in my face, you know, sometimes. And it's just amazing. And all these things help bring me back to the present moment. But when I was still on active duty, I had a 35 minute commute to work right down along the Intercoastal Waterway, and I could see the island, and sometimes I could see the surf of the Gulf of Mexico on the other side of the island, you know. And I had all the same sights and smells, but I was so up in my own head about what I'm going to do, and blah, 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 you know, the family and the kids, and you know, argument with the wife, and blah, 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 you know, the boss getting on me, and I barely saw it, you know. It all was like background. I'm living in paradise, but I wasn't making the most of it. The only time I ever really made the most of it, or you know, was full of gratitude, was when visitors would come, the people that don't live in this area, and they would just be, oh, this is so beautiful, and I get to look at it through their eyes. So I never really minded visitors coming, because I got to see this area through their eyes, and I felt very fortunate in that case. But only until I decided to take an action to go out to the beach and not just lay on the beach on a towel or sit in a chair on the beach, but get active. I walk the beach. And for me, that's really helpful. And it's not always easy. I mean, in fact, most of the time it's not easy. It's a struggle, because the sand is hard to walk in, And if you get too close to the water, sometimes the sand gets really mushy and it's slanted. It's not like on the East Coast, where the beach is fairly flat because of the tide is wide ranging in terms of where low tide point is and where the high tide point is, and it comes in fairly slow over time, and I don't know, it's just different. But it is a struggle, but I still get time alone with my higher power, and I get to be in God's creation and really feel the gratitude that I have for what I've been given and where I live and all that, so the now is where that happens, being present in what I'm doing. And sometimes I can call upon my ability to dissociate, like when I'm in the dental chair kind of thing. So sometimes it's necessary, but most of the time it's important to be present. So, meditation for the day. We should work at overcoming ourselves, our selfish desires, and our self-centeredness. This can never be fully accomplished. We can never become entirely unselfish, but we can come to realize that we are not at the center of the universe and that everything does not revolve around us at the center. I am only one cell in a vast network of human cells. I can at least make the effort to conquer the self-life and seek daily to obtain more and more of this self-conquest. Quote, "He that overcomes himself is greater than he who conquers a city," end quote. Service is where I've found my purpose, to be of service. I'm not sure how God wants me to be of service. I guess right now I'm being of service by sharing my thoughts on this reading with whoever decides to tune in and watch it. So, and that's the now for me. And that is a decision. I have other things lined up here. I have an appointment in less than half an hour, but I'm taking this time. And here's the weird part. It's for me. I need to read this. I need to reflect on these things. And because of my desire to serve, I'm getting something out of it. And that's pretty much the way of things in recovery. I came in to AA to save my ass, basically. To stop the insanity that was happening in my life. Does that mean I put the plug in the jug and everything was great? No. But I got a game plan for life that really works. And I didn't have that before. I was just reaching for straws. With every struggle that arose, my answer was, I don't like this feeling. I want to feel some other kind of way. If you had my problems, you'd drink too. If you had my job, you'd drink too. If you had my wife, you'd drink too. If you had my soap operas, you'd drink too. You had my sports team, you'd drink too. And it just started becoming more and more ridiculous, my reasons for drinking. And then, as the big book says in the doctor's opinion, he despaired. He had so many problems, he despaired of ever solving them. I was creating more problems with my drinking. And it took me a while before I accepted that, yeah, my drinking is causing problems. But when I did, I came into the rooms for me. One of the reasons was I know that I felt bad at how I treated my new wife at the time, when I would get drunk. and I felt bad that my new stepkids saw me drunk so many times when I would only ever see my dad drunk on the weekends, really. But I wanted that Friday feeling every day. And it made me feel bad that I wasn't being a good example. That even though they weren't my kids, I was being a bad father, and I knew it. And I wanted to be a better father than my dad. And in this regard, I was failing. So I came in for myself. And then as I was in for a while, and new people would come in, I would share my experience, strength, and hope. And that helped to know that, my dark past in God's hands was the greatest possession I had. And I keep learning that lesson over and over and over again. And in the meantime, I get to conquer myself. All the self-defeating agreements that I've made with myself over the years, especially from my childhood, that I didn't realize that I had, that I can let go of. Go, oh, okay, yeah, I do dissociate, and now I know why I dissociate, or develop that habit and that ability to dissociate. Now I know why I put people on pedestals, why I get limerent about people, because they were satisfied at one moment in time. They satisfied a deep need that I had that I wasn't getting from my family. And so I put them on pedestals like they could do no wrong. And that's not a good place for them, for me or for them, because I'm not dealing with who they are. I'm dealing with an image of who I think they are or who I need them to be. And that's not fair. That's not who they are. And that's what I did with my ex-girlfriend, admittedly. So prayer for the day. I pray that I may strive to overcome my selfishness. I pray that I may achieve the right perspective of my position in the world. And that's what I'm learning today. And it's very deep, much deeper than I ever would have thought it could be in early recovery. And I thought that I had graduated from AA and didn't have to do 12-step recovery anymore. And now, I may have shared before that I go to, not exclusively, I still go to AA meetings, but I go to ACA, Adult Children Anonymous, because a lot of the foundational stuff that I learned growing up, I didn't, and survival traits like limerence, like living in fantasy about females or authority figures who showed me attention and things like that, was because I wasn't getting what I needed from my family. And I'm not blaming anybody, okay? This is a cycle of trauma that came down through the generations, and they had no choice on how they reacted to the world, just as I had no choice at how I reacted in the world. And AA got me to take responsibility for what I needed to take responsibility for. That showed me that if the rest of the world is my problem, I'm in big trouble. But if I'm the problem, I can change that. I can become less self-centered and to say, okay, it's not fair for me to treat somebody how I think they are, how I think they, who they think I think they are, if that makes any sense. I get to let people be who they are rather than who I think they should be and how I think they should act. See, that's the ultimate sense of control and self-centeredness. And I don't have to do that anymore. And that is also, I get to be who I really am. I don't have to work. You see, and that's it's kind of like the principle of judgment. The more I judge, I feel judged. I feel judged, right? It's a spiritual principle. Judge not, or you will be judged. And to the extent that you judge, so will you be judged. And I don't believe that's an actual judgment, although people are judging each other all the time. It's just how I feel. If I judge how somebody dresses too harshly, the next time I go get ready to go somewhere, I'm going to be paralyzed with self-judgment in trying to get ready to go somewhere because, oh, I can't wear that, and this can't, this doesn't go with that, the only thing I got, blah, 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 and I'm going to be paralyzed and I might avoid going anywhere. So it's better that I don't judge people for how they dress, and then I'm more relaxed when I get ready to go somewhere, I'm not like freaking out. So it's a living, loving, learning, growing program. Don't give up. Keep on keeping on. Every day I don't pick up a drink, I'm in with a chance. I have an opportunity to live and love and learn and grow. So keep coming back. Chin up. Aim up. Rise up. Love y'all.